Hi. In today's conversation, I'd like to provide some guidance on answering the question, can you explain the process of conducting a comprehensive literature search? What databases and search strategies do you use to ensure you gather all relevant information? I'm sure you would agree that if you've worked as a medical writer or if you're planning on working as a medical writer, conducting a thorough and comprehensive literature search is an essential skill that you need to have. So when you're asked a question about this in terms of how have you conducted one in the past or how do you plan on conducting one in the future, here's some basic guidance on how you can approach that question. First is to ask a clarification question, which is the literature search going to be about a specific disease state or is it going to be about a specific product? Because how you're going to conduct the literature search will be based on if it's a disease state or a certain product. The interviewer might even be impressed or taken aback by the fact that you're asking a clarification question because they may not have anticipated it, which only shows you the importance of asking for this clarification because the way you conduct the literature search is dependent on what you're searching for. If, for instance, the literature search is for a specific product, talk about the branded resources that you would use in order to gather information like the product insert, the prescribing information, the HCP-facing website, the product-facing website, the patient-facing website. Any other branded form of information that you can find in order to gather information about an approved product would really help you in conducting this comprehensive literature search about a specific product that's been approved, which is out there for use. Now, the second alternative is if the question is about a certain disease state, then talk about where you would go to find that information, such as peer-reviewed primary papers, peer-reviewed resources, reviews, any types of peer-reviewed information like book chapters or anything else that you find of relevance, press releases, which can sometimes contain unbranded information. So talk about all the resources that you would use in order to conduct a literature survey about a disease state. Now that you've covered these two aspects, it's important to also round off your answer by talking about the use of artificial intelligence. If you've been reading what's going on online or reading what's going on anywhere, everyone is talking about the use of artificial intelligence in medical writing. It is indeed an essential tool to have in your medical writing toolbox. However, I urge you to approach this topic with a little bit of care and caution because companies have different views of artificial intelligence. Some companies advocate for it and some companies are skeptical about it. Companies that advocate for it will be happy if you mention in your answer that you do use artificial intelligence to find important resources and to conduct your research and do your literature survey in order to make it comprehensive. On the contrary, if a certain company is skeptical about artificial intelligence and you mention it, it's going to trigger them in the wrong way because they're immediately going to begin thinking about all the fictitious information, fake information, and hallucinated information that artificial intelligence can sometimes produce, specifically with reference to scientific and medical resources and scientific and medical data. So do your due diligence on the company. Find out if the company mentions AI on their website. Do they have any press releases that talk about AI? Do you have access to any current employees or former employees who can give you some information about how the company feels about AI? And use all that information to decide how you might include AI into your answer when answering the question. I hope you find this information helpful, and I certainly hope the guidance that I provided today will help you in your next medical writing interview. All the best.